Let your eyes rest where they are. You don't need to hold anything open anymore. The dark is already around you, and the sound is just something to drift on, not something to follow. If you find yourself still awake and you want to, you can let your thumb press the like once and then let the hand fall. That's all. And if you subscribe, the door just stays open for another night. No need to decide now. You wake in the dark because someone else decides when you wake. Not a bell, not a sun, a voice, low and flat, coming from somewhere near your feet. Another servant, already dressed, already moving. You have not been sleeping long. You know this because the ache in your lower back from yesterday has not faded. It will not fade. It will only settle into a different shape as the day goes on. The straw under you is old, pressed flat and thin, and the wool blanket over you smells of smoke and sweat and the person who slept in it before you, whoever that was. You do not own the blanket. You do not own the straw. You do not own the space your body takes up in the corner of the kitchen storage room. You just borrow it from midnight until before dawn. You sit up slow because there is no reason to be fast. The day is not a race. The day is a long flat road with no end, and being fast just means you reach the next hour sooner, and the hour after that, and the hour after that, until you are back in the same dark again. You pull on your tunic. It is linen, or it was once. Now it is the color of dishwater and old bread. The sleeves hang loose. The hem is frayed into threads that catch on your knuckles when you pull it over your head. Your shoes are leather, cracked across the toes, and you do not bother to lace them tight because they will be wet within the hour anyway. The kitchen is already warm. Not comfortably warm. Warm in the way a body is warm after a fever breaks. Sticky and used. The great hearth has been burning since yesterday evening, and the coals are still red underneath a layer of gray ash. The other servants are already moving around the central table. A boy of maybe 12 is cutting bread into thick slabs with a knife that has a wooden handle wrapped in dirty string. A woman older than you is lifting a pot off its hook above the fire, using a folded rag to hold the iron handle. She does not speak to you. No one speaks to you, not because they are angry, because speaking takes breath, and breath costs energy. And energy is something no one here has to spare before the sun is fully up. You take the bread the boy hands you. It is dark and dense and slightly damp in the middle. You eat it standing up, leaning against a stone pillar near the door to the yard. The bread has no butter, no cheese, just the taste of rye and the faint salt from the baker's hands. You chew slow because there is no reason to chew fast. The bread will be gone either way, and after it is gone, there will be nothing else until midday, when the Lord's table is cleared and the leftover pottage is divided among the household. That is not generosity. That is just the way food moves through a castle. The top eats first. The bottom eats last. And the bottom eats what the top leaves behind. You step outside into the yard while the sky is still the color of a bruise. The air is cold in a way that sits inside your nose and does not leave. The stones under your shoes are slick with dew or frost depending on the month. You do not check which month it is because the month does not change what you do. What you do is the same every morning. You walk to the well. You lower the bucket. You wait for the rope to go slack and then you pull, hand over hand, the wood of the windlass warm from the last person who used it even though the air is cold. The bucket comes up dripping. You carry it to the kitchen. You pour the water into the great pot that will become porridge. Then you go back to the well. You do this until the pot is full. Then you do it again for the wash water. Then you do it again for the drinking water. Then you do it again because someone dropped a bucket and it cracked and now they need water to clean up the mess from the broken bucket. The sun comes up somewhere behind the wall of the inner bailey. You do not see it. You see the light change on the stones, going from gray to pale yellow to a harder white. That means the morning is moving forward without you. You are not moving forward. You are moving in a circle. Well to kitchen, kitchen to well. The handle of the bucket has a splinter on the underside that finds the same place on your palm every fifth or sixth pull. You do not try to smooth it down because the splinter is not yours to fix. The bucket belongs to the kitchen. The kitchen belongs to the cook. The cook answers to the steward. The steward answers to the Lord. You answer to all of them, and none of them care about the splinter. Inside again. The porridge is bubbling in the pot, thick and gray, made from barley and water and a handful of dried peas that someone forgot to soak the night before. Your job is to stir it. Not because stirring is hard, because stirring takes patience, and patience is something you have because you have learned that rushing does nothing. You stand at the pot with a long wooden paddle, moving it in slow circles, watching the bubbles rise and break. The steam fogs your face. It feels almost good for a moment. Then the cook comes over and tells you to stir faster because the morning meal is late. You do not stir faster. You stir exactly the same speed because the porridge will be done when it is done, and stirring faster just makes your arm hurt sooner. The cook mutters something and walks away. You do not watch her go. You watch the porridge. When it is done, you help carry the pot to the great hall. The pot is heavy, heavier than you think every time. You grip the iron handles with both hands and walk slow, taking small steps, because a spill means scrubbing stone floors for an extra hour and listening to the steward explain how much barley costs. The hall is still dark. The shutters are closed. The rushes on the floor are old and musty, and there is something sour underneath them that you try not to identify. You set the pot on the trestle table and step back. The servants who eat first are not the high servants. They are the lowest servants, the ones who need to eat fastest so they can go back to work. You take your bowl. You fill it halfway because the pot is not bottomless and the second shift still needs to eat. You stand against the wall and eat the porridge with your fingers because spoons are for the upper halls. The porridge is bland and slightly burned on the bottom. You eat it anyway. Then you lick your fingers and wipe them on your tunic and pick up the pot again to carry it to the next table. By mid-morning, the sun is up high enough to send a single bar of light through the narrow window above the buttery door. That bar of light moves across the floor throughout the day. You watch it sometimes when you are standing still, which is not often but happens when you are waiting for someone to finish using the only knife or the only bucket or the only rag that is not completely threadbare. The light travels from the west wall to the east wall, crossing the rushes and the flagstones and the feet of people who do not notice it. You notice it because you have nothing else to look at except the work. The work is the same. The light changes. That is the only clock you have. You scrub the trestle tables after the Lord's breakfast. The Lord and his family eat in a separate chamber, smaller and warmer, with linen on the table and salt in a silver cellar. You do not see them eat. You see the plates they send back down. The plates are wood or pewter, and they come down on a tray carried by the Lord's personal servant. A young man in a clean tunic who looks through you like you are part of the wall. The plates have scraps on them. Fat from bacon, crusts from manchet bread, the rind of a cheese that you have never tasted. You scrape the scraps into a bowl for the pottage later. Then you scrub the plates with sand and water and a rag that is mostly holes. The sand gets under your nails. It stays there. You will wash your hands tonight in cold water and the sand will still be there, and tomorrow you will scrub more plates and more sand will get under your nails, and after a while the skin around your nails is always red and rough and slightly bleeding. Midday comes and goes without you noticing. The only way you know it is midday is that the light through the window is directly overhead, which means there is almost no light on the floor at all, just a pale haze that makes the stones look wet even when they are dry. You are in the yard again, this time carrying firewood from the stack against the outer wall to the kitchen. The wood is split unevenly, some pieces too thick, some too thin, all of them damp because the stack is open to the weather and no one has built a proper cover for it in the 3 years you have worked here. You carry the wood in a sling made of old sacking. The sling cuts into your shoulder. You switch shoulders every few trips. Both shoulders hurt by the end. That is not a problem to solve. That is just how the afternoon feels. You pass the kennel on your way back to the wood stack. The dogs are sleeping in the sun, their chains loose in the dirt. One of them opens its eyes when you walk by. It does not bark. It just watches you, and then it closes its eyes again. You are not interesting to the dogs. You are not interesting to anyone. That is the gift of this work. No one watches you closely because no one needs to. You will do the work or you will not, and if you do not, someone else will, and you will be sent to the road with nothing but the clothes you are wearing. So you do the work, not because you are good, because the alternative is the road, and the road has no kitchen and no well and no corner with straw that you can call yours even though it is not really yours. The afternoon stretches out like a piece of dough that has been pulled too thin. You carry water. You carry wood. You scrub the stone floor of the pantry because someone dropped a jar of pickled herring and the brine soaked into the cracks between the stones. You scrub the same spot for an hour. The smell does not go away. It just becomes part of the air, like the smell of smoke and old grease and the wet wool of the tunics hanging by the fire. You stop scrubbing when the steward walks through and does not say anything. That is how you know it is good enough. Not because it is clean, because no one complained. In the late afternoon, you help carry the Lord's bath water up the spiral stair to his chamber. The water is hot. Not hot because you heated it for him. Hot because the cook heated it for him, in the same pot that held the porridge that morning, and you carried it up 3 flights of stairs in brass pitchers that burn your hands even through the rags you wrapped around the handles. You climb slowly. The stair is narrow and dark, and the stones are worn smooth by centuries of feet that were not yours. You do not think about those feet. You think about the next step, and the step after that, and the landing where you can set the pitcher down for a breath before the next flight. The Lord's servant takes the pitchers at the door. He does not thank you. He closes the door. You stand in the corridor for a moment, breathing, your palms throbbing. Then you go back down the stairs to carry the next load. The sun goes down behind the outer wall. You do not see it go down. You see the light in the yard change from white to yellow to a flat gray. That means the day is ending. The torches are lit in the great hall. You are not in the great hall. You are in the kitchen, grinding mustard seeds in a stone mortar because the cook wants mustard for the Lord's Supper. The seeds are hard and small, and they skitter out from under the pestle if you press too fast. So you press slow, round and round. The smell of the mustard builds in your nose until your eyes water. You do not wipe your eyes because your hands are covered in mustard oil, and that will only make it worse. You just keep grinding, round and round. The sound of the pestle against the stone is a low, steady scrape that matches the scrape of your breath. Supper comes and goes. You eat the pottage standing in the kitchen door, looking out at the yard where the last light is fading from the sky. The pottage has the herring from the broken jar in it. It tastes like brine and barley and something else you cannot name. You eat it because you are hungry. You finish the bowl and set it on the ground for the kitchen cat, a thin gray animal with one torn ear that appears from nowhere and disappears the same way. The cat eats. You watch it eat. Then you pick up the bowl and wash it and put it on the shelf, and the night is not over. There is still work after dark. There is always work after dark. You sweep the kitchen floor. You bank the fire so it will still have coals in the morning but will not burn the building down in the night. You carry the last bucket of water from the well because the cook wants water ready for the morning porridge before she goes to sleep. The well is dark now. You cannot see the bottom. You lower the bucket by feel, the rope sliding through your hands, and you pull it back up by feel, your arms heavy and your back a single solid ache from your shoulders to your hips. The water sloshes over the rim of the bucket and soaks your shoes. You do not care anymore. Your shoes were wet before. They will be wet again tomorrow. Wet shoes are not a problem. Wet shoes are just a fact. You walk back to the kitchen corner where the straw is. The other servants are already lying down. No one talks. The rush light in the corner is low, just a small flame swimming in a dish of grease, throwing shadows that move across the ceiling like water. You lie down on your side because lying on your back makes your shoulders hurt more. You pull the wool blanket over you. It smells the same as it did this morning. Smoke and sweat and someone else. You close your eyes. You do not think about tomorrow because tomorrow is the same as today. You do not think about yesterday because yesterday is the same as today. You just lie in the dark and listen to the sound of other people breathing, and the small crack of the rush light, and somewhere far away a dog barking once and then stopping. The light burns down. The breathing slows. You are not asleep yet. You are somewhere between sleep and waking, in the gray place where time does not move in a straight line. You feel the straw under you. You feel the cold air on your face where the blanket does not cover. You feel the ache in your hands and your back and your knees, and you know that when you wake up in the dark again, the ache will still be there, settled into a different shape but not gone. The voice will come. The boy will cut the bread. The water will be cold in the bucket. And you will stand up and pull on your tunic and lace your shoes and walk to the well and lower the bucket and pull it back up. Hand over hand. Hand over hand. The same as before. the same as always. The dark is around you now. The dark is around you always. And somewhere above you, in a chamber with linen sheets and a silver salt cellar, someone is sleeping who will never know your name. The fire in the great hearth does not go out. It never truly goes out. Even in the smallest hours before dawn, when the rest of the castle feels hollow and cold, there is always a red core buried under the gray ash. That red core is your job to protect. You learned this in your first week, when you let the fire die and the cook woke you with a slap that left your ear ringing for 3 days. The fire is not alive, but the castle treats it like it is. It eats wood. It breathes smoke. And if you stop feeding it, the cold moves into the stone like a second kind of dark, one that takes days to push back out. So you feed it, even when you are tired, even when your arms feel like rope that has been twisted too many times. You pick up another split log, feel the damp bark rough against your palm, and lay it across the coals. The fire hisses. A single thread of smoke curls up past the iron crane and disappears into the black above the hood. You watch it go. Then you turn back to the wood stack and pick up another. The morning meal is the same as yesterday's morning meal. You do not say this to yourself as a complaint. You say it as a fact, the way you might say the sky is gray or the stones are cold. The bread is dark. The porridge is gray. The water in the bucket tastes of iron and the rope that lowered it. You chew. You swallow. You stand with your bowl against your chest and your eyes half closed because you are not fully awake and you do not need to be fully awake for this part. The boy with the knife is the same boy. The woman with the pot is the same woman. The cook is the same cook, standing by the fire with her arms crossed. Her face set in the same expression of mild disappointment that never leaves her features. Even in sleep you imagine. No one says good morning. No one says anything. The only sounds are the scrape of wooden bowls and the soft thump of the bread knife on the board and the endless low mutter of the fire. After the meal, you go to the hen yard. This is not your usual task. But the usual person for the hen yard has a fever today, or says she has a fever, and the cook has pointed at you without speaking and jerked her head toward the door. So you go. The hen yard is a small muddy square behind the kitchen, surrounded by a wattle fence that sags in the middle, where the pigs have pushed against it. The hens are already out of their coop, scratching at the dirt with their feet, their heads bobbing in that jerky way that makes them look like they are always surprised. You scatter the grain from a leather pouch. The grain is mostly chaff and small bits of broken barley, the sweepings from the bottom of the grain bin. The hens do not care. They peck at the dirt with their beaks, and you stand in the mud and watch them, and the morning light comes over the top of the fence and falls across the yard in a pale yellow stripe that makes the mud look almost golden for a few minutes. You collect the eggs. There are not many. 3, maybe 4, hidden in the straw of the nesting boxes. The straw is warm and smells of feathers and droppings. You cup each egg in your palm and lower it into a wooden bowl you brought from the kitchen. The shells are thin and sometimes speckled. One of them has a small crack that weeps a clear fluid. You set that one aside in your mind to give to the cook first, so she can use it now before it spoils. The hens watch you with their small bright eyes. They do not try to stop you. They have learned that you are not a threat, or maybe they have learned that you are not worth the effort of pecking. You are just the person who brings the grain and takes the eggs. You are part of the yard now, like the fence and the coop and the muddy patch by the gate where the water collects after it rains. You carry the eggs back to the kitchen. The cook takes the bowl without looking at you and sets it on the shelf near the butter churn. You stand there for a moment, waiting for the next instruction. It does not come. The cook is busy cutting salt pork into cubes with a knife that has a blade worn thin from years of sharpening. So you turn and walk to the buttery door and stand there, looking out at the yard, because standing is sometimes the only thing to do between tasks. The standing does not last long. It never does. A servant from the stables appears in the doorway with a torn saddle girth in his hand and says the steward wants someone to help carry oats from the storage loft. That someone is you. You follow the stable servant across the yard, your shoes squelching in the mud, and you do not ask why the stable servant cannot carry the oats himself. You just follow. The storage loft is above the stables. The ladder is old and the rungs are worn smooth in the middle from the hands of everyone who has climbed it before you. You climb slowly, holding the bowl of eggs in your memory, the way the light fell across the mud, the small bright eyes of the hens. The loft is dark and smells of hay and mouse droppings, and the particular dry dust that comes from grain that has been sitting in sacks for months. The sacks are stacked against the far wall, each one marked with a charcoal cross that means nothing to you but means something to the steward. You take the nearest sack by its corners and lift. It is heavy, heavier than you expected. The oats shift inside as you walk, settling into a new shape against your chest. You carry it down the ladder one rung at a time, your feet finding the wood by feel because you cannot see past the sack. The stable servant is waiting at the bottom. He takes the sack from you without a word and carries it to a stall where a gray horse is standing with its head over the half door. You go back up the ladder. You carry another sack, then another, then another. Your back is talking to you now in a language you know well. It says, "Stop." You do not stop. You carry another sack. By the time the oats are moved, the sun is higher. You can tell because the light through the stable door is no longer slanted and golden but flat and white. The kind of light that comes from a sky with no clouds and no mercy. You walk back to the kitchen. The yard is busier now. A carter is backing a mule into the space near the well. Two men are unloading baskets of onions from a cart. A woman you do not know is carrying a live goose by its feet, the goose's head swinging with each step, its beak open and silent. You step around them. You step around a puddle of something that might be wine or might be blood. You do not look closely. Looking closely at things is not part of your work. Your work is to move from one place to another, carrying something, setting it down, picking something else up, carrying it somewhere else. That is the shape of the day. That is the shape of all the days. The cook has a new task for you. The Lord's wife wants lavender water for her washing bowl. This means you must go to the still room, which is a small stone room behind the pantry where dried herbs are kept in clay pots sealed with wax. The still room is cool and dark and smells of mint and rosemary and something sweeter that you think might be dried apple peel. You find the pot labeled with a painted L for lavender. The wax seal is cracked. You break it open and scoop out a handful of dried lavender flowers into a linen bag. The flowers are small and purple and they crumble between your fingers as you work. You tie the bag with a piece of twine and carry it to the kitchen, where you drop it into a brass ewer of hot water that has been sitting by the fire. The water turns pale gold. The smell of lavender rises with the steam, soft and sharp at the same time. You stand there for a moment, breathing it in. It is the cleanest smell you have encountered in days, maybe weeks. You do not want to leave it, but you pick up the ewer by the handle, the brass warm against your palm, and you carry it up the stairs to the Lord's wife's chamber. The corridor outside her door is narrow and the ceiling is low. You knock with your knuckle once, soft. The door opens. The lady's personal maid is there, a young woman in a blue kirtle with a white linen headrail. She takes the ewer from you without speaking. You catch a glimpse of the chamber beyond. A bed with curtains, a painted chest, a small fire in a stone fireplace. Then the door closes. You stand in the corridor. The lavender smell is already fading from your hands. You rub your palms together and the smell comes back for a moment, then fades again. You go back down the stairs. The afternoon is long. You help salt herring in the pantry, laying the fish in layers with coarse salt that stings the small cuts on your hands. You sweep the yard because someone complained about the mud, as if sweeping could do anything about mud. You carry a message from the cook to the baker, who lives in a separate building near the outer gate. The baker is a large man with flour in his eyebrows. He listens to your message, nods, and hands you a warm loaf of bread that has cracked open on top during baking. This is not a gift. This is a message back. You carry the bread to the cook, and the cook breaks it open and eats a piece and gives you the heel, which you eat while standing by the fire. The heel is hard and chewy and tastes of the wood smoke from the baker's oven. You eat it slowly. You lick the crumbs from your palm. The light through the window changes. The bar of light moves from the east wall to the west wall, crossing the rushes and the flagstones and the feet of people who do not notice it. You notice it. You always notice it. The light is the only thing that moves without being told. Everything else waits for a voice. The light does not wait. It just goes slow and steady, and when it reaches the far wall it starts to fade, and then the torches are lit, and the day becomes night, and the work becomes different but not less. You wash the Lord's cups after supper. The cups are silver, or they look like silver. You are not sure. You have never touched silver anywhere else. You hold each cup by its stem and dip it into a wooden bucket of water that has a handful of ash stirred into it. The ash cuts the grease. You scrub with a rag, rinse with clean water from a second bucket, and set each cup on a board to dry. The cups gleam in the torchlight. You can see your face in the bottom of one of them, blurred and dark, like a face at the bottom of a well. You look away. You are not supposed to look at yourself in the Lord's cups. You are not supposed to look at yourself at all. You are supposed to look at the work. The kitchen quiets down after the last of the supper things are washed. The cook sits on a stool by the fire, her head nodding. The boy with the knife is asleep on the floor, curled around a sack of flour like a dog. The woman with the pot is mending a tear in her sleeve with a needle she keeps stuck in the collar of her tunic. You sit on the floor with your back against the stone pillar near the door. Your legs are heavy. Your feet are wet. Your hands are raw, and your back is a single continuous throb that you have stopped trying to ignore. You close your eyes. You do not sleep. You just close your eyes and let the heat from the fire wash over your face. The torch outside the kitchen door gutters and spits. You hear footsteps on the stones. Someone is walking from the great hall to the guard room, or from the guard room to the gate, or from the gate to nowhere. The footsteps pass. Then they are gone. The fire pops. A log settles, sending up a shower of sparks that vanish before they reach the hood. The woman with the needle finishes her sleeve and bites off the thread with her teeth. She stands up and walks to the corner where the straw is. She lies down. The boy does not move. The cook opens her eyes, looks at the fire, closes her eyes again. You sit. The night is not over. The night is never over. There is always someone who needs something. There is always a bucket that needs carrying, a floor that needs scrubbing, a fire that needs feeding. But right now, in this moment between one task and the next, there is nothing. Just the heat, just the dark, just the sound of your own breath, slow and steady, moving in and out of your chest like water moving in and out of a well. You open your eyes. The fire has burned down. The red core is still there, buried under the ash, but it is smaller now. You should add wood. You know you should add wood, but you do not move. You sit against the pillar and watch the red glow pulse like something alive, like something that has a heart, like something that will still be here tomorrow when you wake up in the dark and pull on your tunic and lace your shoes and walk to the well and lower the bucket and pull it back up. Hand over hand. Hand over hand. The same as before. The same as always. The dark is around you now. The dark is around you always. And somewhere in the chamber above, the Lord's wife is sleeping with lavender on her pillow, and you are sleeping on straw, and the fire is sleeping under the ash, and the night is not an ending. The night is just a pause between one morning and the next. The pause stretches out. You let it. You let it stretch out until there is nothing left but the dark and the heat and the small red heart of the fire, beating slow, beating steady, beating the same way it has beaten for years, the same way it will beat for years after you are gone and someone else is sitting against this pillar with wet feet and raw hands and a back that will not stop aching. The torch outside goes out. You hear the sizzle as the last of the oil burns away. Then there is only the fire and the dark and the fire. You close your eyes again, and the night goes on. You wake because the cold has found you. Not the cold of the yard or the cold of the well. The cold of your own body, lying still too long. The heat from the fire no longer reaching the place where you sit against the pillar. Your neck is stiff from the angle of your head. Your mouth is dry. For a moment you do not know where you are, and then you remember, and the remembering is not a shock but a slow settling, like dust falling through still air. The kitchen is dark. The fire has burned down to a few scattered coals, each one a small orange eye staring at nothing. The cook is gone from her stool. The boy is gone from the floor. The woman with the needle is gone from the straw corner. You are alone, or you are not alone, but the others have moved to their sleeping places and you have stayed here, by the pillar, and now the night has moved on without you. You stand up slow. Your knees make a sound like wet wood bending. You walk to the fire and kneel and add 3 pieces of wood from the stack, placing them carefully so they cross each other and leave space for air. The coals reach up and catch the edges of the wood. A small flame appears, then another. You watch them grow. The fire is not grateful. The fire does not know you, but it accepts the wood, and that is enough. You stay on your knees for a while, letting the warmth come back into your face, your hands, the front of your tunic. The back of your tunic is still cold. The back of your neck is still cold. That is fine. You cannot warm everything at once. You go to the straw corner. The other servants are sleeping in a heap, their bodies curled into each other for warmth, their breath coming in soft, ragged waves. There is a space near the edge, just wide enough for you to lie down on your side. You take it. You pull the edge of the wool blanket over your hip. The blanket is too small for all of you, so you do not try to cover your shoulders. You leave your shoulders in the cold. Your shoulders are used to the cold. You close your eyes and listen to the breathing. Someone is dreaming. You can tell because their breath changes, quickens, slows again. You do not know what they are dreaming. You do not want to know. Dreams are private, like the inside of a locked chest, and you have no key. Sleep comes like water rising in a dark room. You do not feel it happen. One moment you are listening to the breathing, and the next moment you are somewhere else. A place with no images and no words, just a deep gray absence that holds you like a hand holds a stone. You do not know how long you stay there. Time does not exist in that place. There is only the absence, and the weight of your body fading, and the slow pulse of your blood moving through the dark. Then the voice. Not a shout, not a slap, just a voice, low and flat, saying your name or saying a word that means your name. You are awake. The gray absence is gone. The straw is under you. The cold is on your shoulders. The fire has burned down again. But there is light now, a pale gray light coming through the high window that means the night is over. The night is over and you have slept or you have not slept. But either way, the dark is gone and the morning is here, and the boy is already cutting the bread, and the cook is already standing by the fire with her arms crossed, and the woman with the pot is already lifting the pot off its hook. You sit up. You pull on your tunic. You lace your shoes. The day is the same as yesterday. The day is the same as tomorrow. You stand up and walk to the table and take the bread the boy hands you. The bread is dark. The bread is dense. The bread tastes of rye and the hands that kneaded it. You chew. You swallow. You stand with your bowl against your chest and your eyes half open, and the morning light coming through the window in a pale gray stripe that falls across the table and across the boy's hands and across the bread knife. The boy is younger than you. He has been here longer. You do not know how that works. You do not ask. Asking is not part of the work. The work is the bread and the water and the fire and the well. The work is the bucket and the rope and the splinter on the handle that finds the same place on your palm every 5th or 6th pull. You go to the well. The yard is wet with dew. Your shoes leave dark prints on the stones. The sky is the color of old linen, not white, not gray, something in between that has no name. The well is cold. The rope is cold. The bucket comes up dripping and you carry it to the kitchen and pour the water into the great pot. Then you go back to the well. You do this until the pot is full. Then you do it again for the wash water. Then you do it again for the drinking water. Then you do it again because someone dropped a bucket and it cracked, and now they need water to clean up the mess from the broken bucket. The splinter finds your palm. You do not flinch. Flinching does nothing. The sun comes up behind the wall. You do not see it. You see the light change on the stones, going from gray to pale yellow to a harder white. The light moves across the yard. You move across the yard. You are carrying a basket of turnips from the root cellar to the kitchen. The turnips are small and dirty, and some of them are soft in a way that means they are starting to rot. You will cut the soft parts away before you put them in the pot. The cook will not thank you. The cook will find something wrong with the way you cut them, too big or too small or not the right shape. You will nod and cut them again. That is the work. In the root cellar, it is dark and damp, and the air smells of earth and mildew. The turnips are stored in a bin made of rough boards, the kind of bin that was built 10 years ago and never repaired. You kneel on the dirt floor and fill your basket by feel, your fingers finding the turnips one by one, sorting the firm from the soft, dropping the soft ones into a separate pile that will go to the pigs. The pigs do not care about rot. The pigs eat everything. You have seen them eat things that would make you vomit. The pigs do not vomit. The pigs just eat and then they sleep and then they eat again. You are not jealous of the pigs, but you understand them. You carry the basket up the stone steps and into the light. The light is brighter now. The sun is higher. The day is moving forward without you. You are moving in a circle. Root cellar to kitchen. Kitchen to root cellar. The basket has a loose handle that twists in your grip. You adjust your grip. The handle twists again. You do not try to fix it. The basket is not yours to fix. The basket belongs to the kitchen, and the kitchen belongs to the cook, and the cook does not care about the handle. The cook cares about the turnips. The turnips are in the basket. The basket is in your hand. The handle twists. You walk. The great hall is being prepared for the midday meal. You are not in the great hall. You are in the pantry, grinding mustard seeds again, because the cook wants mustard for the Lord's table and the mustard from yesterday is gone or has spoiled or was never made. You do not know. You do not ask. You just grind. Round and round. The pestle in the mortar. The seeds cracking under the stone. The smell building in your nose until your eyes water. You do not wipe your eyes. You just grind. Round and round. The sound is the same as yesterday. The motion is the same as yesterday. Your arm is the same as yesterday, which means it hurts in the same place. A dull ache that starts in your shoulder and travels down to your elbow and then stops because your elbow has its own ache and they do not overlap. The steward comes into the pantry. He is a tall man with a face that looks like it has never smiled. He does not speak to you. He looks at the mustard pot, then at you, then at the mustard pot again. Then he leaves. You do not know what that means. You do not need to know. The steward's face is not your concern. Your concern is the mustard. You keep grinding, round and round. The seeds are almost dust now, a pale yellow powder that clings to the sides of the mortar. You scrape it down with your finger and keep grinding, round and round. The midday meal comes. You eat the pottage standing in the kitchen door. The pottage has turnips in it today, and the last of the salt pork, and a handful of dried peas that someone forgot to soak but boiled anyway. The peas are hard. You chew them anyway. Your teeth are used to hard things. Your teeth are used to bread that is half crust and water that tastes of iron and pottage that is mostly water with things floating in it. You finish the bowl and set it on the ground. The kitchen cat appears. You watch it eat. Then you pick up the bowl and wash it and put it on the shelf, and the day is not over. The afternoon is for laundry. Not your laundry. No one washes your laundry. Your tunic is washed when it rains and you stand in the rain and let the water run over you. That is not a joke. That is just how it works. The laundry you are doing belongs to the Lord and his family. Sheets and tunics and shifts and the linen cloths they use for wiping their hands at table. You carry the basket to the wash house, which is a low stone building near the outer wall with a fire pit in the center and a wooden vat that is almost as tall as your waist. The water is already hot. Someone else heated it. You do not know who. You do not need to know. You just add the clothes to the vat, a few at a time, and stir them with a wooden paddle. The water turns gray. The smell is not bad. The smell is just water and old sweat and the faint sweet scent of the lavender water that was poured over the lady's hands yesterday. You lift each piece from the vat and lay it on a stone slab near the fire. You beat the wet cloth with a wooden beetle, a flat mallet that is heavy in your hand. The beetle comes down on the cloth with a wet slap. You lift it. You bring it down. Wet slap. Lift. Down. Wet slap. The sound is steady and dull, and it fills the wash house like the sound of rain on a roof. You do not think while you work. You just beat the cloth, and then you rinse it in clean water, and then you wring it out, your hands twisting the wet linen until the water runs down your arms and drips from your elbows. Then you lay it on a drying rack near the fire. Then you take another piece from the vat. Wet slap. Lift. Down. Wet slap. The light through the wash house window changes. The sun is moving. You are not moving. You are standing in the same place, beating the same cloth, wringing the same water, laying the same linen on the same rack. The rack fills. You take the dry clothes from the rack and fold them and put them in a clean basket. Then you take more clothes from the vat. Wet slap. Lift. down, wet slap. Your arms are heavy. Your back is a single continuous throb. Your hands are red and wrinkled from the water. You do not stop. Stopping is not a choice. The work is the work, and the work continues until the vat is empty and the basket is full and someone tells you to stop. Someone tells you to stop. The cook's voice, calling from the kitchen door. You do not know what time it is. You do not know how long you have been in the wash house. The light through the window is different. That is all you know. You leave the basket of folded linen by the door and walk back to the kitchen. The yard is in shadow. The sun is behind the outer wall. The day is ending. You did not see it end. You were beating cloth. Wet slap. Lift. Down. That was the day. That was the whole day. The cook gives you a piece of bread and a cup of small ale. The ale is thin and warm and slightly sour. You drink it standing up. The bread is the same as the morning bread. You eat it standing up. The cook does not speak to you. You do not speak to the cook. The fire is burning low. You add wood. The fire accepts the wood. The fire is not grateful. The fire does not know you, but it accepts the wood, and that is enough. The night comes. The torches are lit. You carry the Lord's Supper tray from the kitchen to the great hall. The tray is wooden and heavy and loaded with dishes. A bowl of pottage, a platter of roasted chicken, a small dish of mustard, a loaf of white bread that you have never tasted. You walk slow. The tray wobbles. You adjust your grip. The tray steadies. You walk. The great hall is loud tonight. There are guests. You do not look at them. You set the tray on the sideboard and step back. The Lord's servant takes the dishes one by one and carries them to the high table. You stand against the wall and wait. The guests are laughing. The fire in the great hall is large and hot. The smoke curls up toward the roof beams and finds its way out through the louvers. You watch the smoke. The smoke does not care about you. The smoke goes where the air takes it. You go where the cook takes you. That is the difference. The guests eat. You wait. The fire burns. The smoke rises. The guests laugh again. You do not know what they are laughing at. You do not want to know. Knowing would not change anything. You would still be standing against the wall with your hands clasped in front of you and your eyes on the smoke. The smoke is the same as yesterday. The smoke is the same as tomorrow. The smoke is gray and thin, and it twists as it rises, and then it is gone and you cannot see it anymore, and then there is more smoke and it twists and it rises and it is gone. The meal ends. You carry the dishes back to the kitchen. The dishes are not empty. There are bones on the platter. There is bread that was not eaten. There is pottage that was ladled and then left. You scrape the scraps into the bowl for the next day's pottage. The bones go to the dogs. The bread goes to the servants. You take a piece of the white bread. It is soft. It is softer than anything you have felt in weeks. You eat it standing by the sink. It tastes of nothing and everything. It tastes of flour and water and the heat of the oven. It tastes like something that was made for someone else. You eat it slowly. You lick the crumbs from your palm. The kitchen quiets. The cook sits on her stool. The boy sleeps on the floor. The woman with the needle mends something else. You sit against the pillar. The fire burns. The night is not over. The night is never over. But the fire burns, and the pillar is solid against your back, and the heat from the hearth reaches your face in waves. You close your eyes. You do not sleep. You just close your eyes and let the night hold you. The night is cold and dark and it does not care about you. But it holds you anyway. It holds you the way the well holds the water. The way the straw holds the shape of your body. The way the fire holds the red core under the ash. The night holds you, and you let it. The morning comes again. You do not count the mornings. Counting would require a reason to remember, and you have no reason. Each morning is the same as the one before, and the one before that, and the one that will come after. The dark outside the window turns gray. The gray turns pale. The boy cuts the bread. The woman lifts the pot. The cook stands by the fire with her arms crossed. You stand up from the straw and pull on your tunic and lace your shoes. The shoes are wet. They are always wet. You have stopped noticing the wetness except in the way your toes feel cold. And the cold is just another layer of the day, like the weight of the bucket or the ache in your back. You walk to the well. The rope is cold against your palms. The splinter finds the same place. You lower the bucket. You wait for the rope to go slack. You pull, hand over hand. The bucket comes up dripping. You carry it to the kitchen. You pour. You go back to the well. The yard is empty except for you and the well and the gray sky. A single crow sits on the wall watching you. You watch the crow. The crow opens its beak and makes a sound like a stick breaking. Then it flies away. You go back to the well. The morning meal is the same. Dark bread, gray porridge, water that tastes of iron. You stand against the pillar and eat with your fingers. The boy next to you has a cut on his thumb from the bread knife. He is holding his hand under his arm to stop the bleeding. You do not say anything. He does not say anything. The bleeding will stop or it will not. If it does not stop, he will wrap it with a rag and keep working. If it gets infected, he will keep working until he cannot, and then someone else will cut the bread and he will be gone, and you will not remember his face because you have not looked at his face. You have looked at his hands. His hands are small and stained with flour and now with blood. That is all you know of him. The cook sends you to the hen yard. The hens are the same. The mud is the same. The grain is the same. You scatter it from the leather pouch. The hens peck. You collect the eggs. 3 today. No 4. The 4th is hidden under a broken piece of pottery that someone threw into the yard weeks ago. You move the pottery. The egg is there, cold and perfect. You cup it in your palm. The shell is a pale brown, almost cream. You put it in the bowl with the others. The hens watch you. You watch the hens. The morning light comes over the fence. The mud looks almost golden. Then the light moves, and the mud looks like mud again. You carry the eggs to the kitchen. The cook takes the bowl. She looks at the eggs. She sets the bowl on the shelf. She does not speak. You stand in the kitchen door and look out at the yard. The carter is back with the mule. The mule is standing in the same place as yesterday, or a different place that looks the same. The carter is unloading baskets of something. Onions again, or maybe leeks. You cannot tell from this distance. The carter's back is bent. His tunic is the same color as yours. You watch him work. He does not look up. No one looks up. The steward appears in the doorway. He wants the rushes changed in the great hall. The rushes have been down for weeks. They are wet and sour and full of old bones and spilled ale and things you do not want to name. You and 2 other servants go to the great hall with brooms and rakes and a cart for hauling the old rushes away. The hall is empty. The trestle tables are pushed against the walls. The fire in the great hearth is low. The light comes through the high windows in long dusty bars. You start at the far end and work your way toward the door. The rake pulls the old rushes into piles. The broom pushes the piles toward the cart. The smell rises as you work. It is not a smell you can describe. It is the smell of the hall, the smell of the castle, the smell of people living and eating and sleeping and dying in the same space for years without ever opening the windows wide enough to let the air move through. You load the cart. The rushes are heavy with moisture. You lift them in armfuls and drop them onto the wooden bed of the cart. Your arms are wet to the elbow. Your tunic is wet across the chest. The smell clings to you. You will smell like the hall for the rest of the day. You will not notice after a while. Your nose will stop telling you about the smell, the way your hands stop telling you about the splinter. The body learns to ignore what it cannot change. When the old rushes are gone, you sweep the stone floor. The floor is dirty underneath. There are places where the stone is stained dark, where something was spilled and left and the stain soaked in and became part of the floor. You cannot scrub the stains away. The stains are older than you. They will be here after you are gone. You sweep around them. You sweep the dust and the crumbs and the small bones into a pile and carry them out in a dustpan made of folded leather. Then you bring in the new rushes. The new rushes are dry and pale and they smell of the marsh where they were cut. You spread them on the floor with your hands, throwing them in handfuls so they land evenly. The fresh rushes crackle under your shoes. The hall smells different now. It will not stay that way. In a week, the rushes will be wet and sour again. In a month, you will change them again. The work is the same. The work is always the same. You go back to the kitchen. The cook has a new task. The Lord wants fish for supper. There is no fish in the kitchen. You must go to the fish pond in the lower bailey and catch one. You take a net and a wooden bucket. The net is old and mended in several places with twine that does not match the original mesh. You walk down through the inner bailey, past the stables, past the smithy, through a narrow passage between two stone walls, and into the lower bailey. The fish pond is there, a small round pool fed by a spring. The water is dark and still. You can see the fish moving underneath, dark shapes against the lighter bottom. You kneel at the edge of the pool. The ground is soft and wet. Your knees sink into the mud. You lower the net into the water slowly, so slowly that the fish do not notice. Then you wait. Waiting is something you know how to do. You wait at the well for the bucket to fill. You wait at the fire for the water to heat. You wait in the hall for the meal to end. Waiting is not empty time. Waiting is full time, full of the sound of your own breath, full of the feel of the mud under your knees, full of the sight of the fish moving in the dark water, their fins barely stirring the surface. You wait. The fish move. You wait. One of the fish comes closer, curious or careless. You lift the net. The fish is in the net, flopping, its scales catching the light. You lift it out of the water and drop it into the bucket. The bucket has a little water in the bottom, enough to keep the fish alive until you get back to the kitchen. You look at the fish. The fish looks at you. Its mouth opens and closes. You carry the bucket back up through the narrow passage, past the smithy, past the stables, across the inner bailey, to the kitchen. The cook takes the bucket. She does not look at the fish. She just takes the bucket. The afternoon is for threshing. Not wheat, not barley, beans. The beans are spread on the floor of the threshing barn, a long low building near the outer gate. You stand in a line with 4 other servants, each of you holding a flail. The flail is 2 sticks joined by a leather thong. You lift the long stick. You swing. The short stick hits the beans. The pods crack open. The beans scatter. You lift. You swing. The sound of the flails is a steady rhythm, like footsteps, like a heart, like something that has been happening in this barn for hundreds of years and will keep happening for hundreds more. You do not look at the other servants. You look at the beans. The beans are small and dark, and they roll across the stone floor when you hit them. You lift. You swing. The dust rises. The dust gets in your nose and your throat and your eyes. You do not stop. You lift. You swing. The sun moves across the high windows of the barn. You do not see the sun. You see the light change on the stone floor, from bright to less bright to the flat gray that means the afternoon is ending. The beans are threshed. The pods are broken. The beans are mixed with the chaff. Now you must winnow them. You wait for the wind. The wind comes. You toss the beans and chaff into the air with a wooden shovel. The wind takes the chaff. The beans fall back to the floor. You toss again. The chaff blows away. The beans fall. You toss. The wind dies. You wait. The wind comes. You toss. The beans fall. You do this until the beans are clean and the chaff is a pale pile against the far wall and your arms are shaking from the weight of the shovel and your back is a single continuous throb and your mouth is full of dust. Then you sweep the beans into a sack. The sack is heavy. You carry it to the granary. You set it down. You go back to the kitchen. The kitchen is warm. The fire is high. The cook is making the fish for the Lord's Supper. The fish is on a wooden board, gutted and scaled, its head still attached. You stand by the door and watch. You do not help. There is nothing to help with. The cook works alone, her hands moving quickly, her face close to the board. She sprinkles salt on the fish. She adds a handful of herbs from the still room. She wraps the fish in a wet cloth and sets it on a metal grate over the fire. The fish hisses. The smell of fish and salt and herbs fills the kitchen. It is a good smell. You are hungry. You will not eat the fish. The fish is for the Lord. You will eat pottage made from the beans you threshed, with maybe a piece of the dark bread if there is any left. That is fine. That is how it works. The top eats first. The bottom eats last. The bottom eats what the top leaves behind. The night comes. The torches are lit. You carry water to the Lord's chamber for his washing. The water is hot. The pitcher burns your hands even through the rag. You climb the spiral stair. The steps are worn and dark. You climb slowly. The Lord's servant takes the pitcher at the door. He closes the door. You stand in the corridor. The torch on the wall is sputtering. You watch it sputter. The flame shrinks. The flame grows. The flame shrinks again. You should go back down the stairs. You do not go. You stand in the corridor and watch the torch. The torch does not care if you watch it. The torch does not know you, but it sputters and you watch and the night goes on. You go back down the stairs. The kitchen is quiet. The cook is on her stool. The boy is asleep on the floor. The woman with the needle is not here tonight. She is somewhere else, or she is sick, or she is gone. You do not know. You do not ask. You sit against the pillar. The fire is low. You add wood. The fire accepts the wood. The fire is not grateful. The fire does not know you, but it accepts the wood, and that is enough. You close your eyes. The night is around you. The night is inside you. The night is the same as the day, only darker. You sit against the pillar and let the night hold you. The night holds you the way the well holds the water. The way the straw holds the shape of your body. The way the fire holds the red core under the ash. You are not sleeping. You are not awake. You are somewhere in between, in the gray place where time does not move in a straight line. The voice will come. The boy will cut the bread. The water will be cold in the bucket. And you will stand up and pull on your tunic and lace your shoes and walk to the well and lower the bucket and pull it back up. Hand over hand. Hand over hand. The same as before. The same as always. The dark is around you now. The dark is around you always. And somewhere in the chamber above, the Lord is eating fish, and the lady is washing her hands in lavender water, and you are here by the pillar with the fire in the dark and the small red heart of the coals beating slow, beating steady, beating the same way it has beaten for years, the same way it will beat for years after you are gone and someone else is sitting in this place with wet shoes and raw hands and a back that will not stop aching. The night goes on. The night always goes on. The morning comes with rain. You hear it before you open your eyes. A soft, steady sound on the roof above the kitchen. A different kind of quiet. The rain changes everything and nothing. The water in the well will be higher. The yard will be mud instead of dust. The fire will need more wood because the damp eats the heat. But you will still wake in the dark. You will still pull on your tunic. You will still walk to the well. The rain is just another layer, like the cold, like the ache, like the weight of the bucket when it comes up full. You sit up. The boy is already cutting the bread. The woman with the pot is already lifting the pot. The cook is already standing by the fire. The rain does not change them either. You take the bread. You eat it standing up. The bread is damp from the air. It feels heavier than usual. You chew. You swallow. You walk to the door and look out at the yard. The rain is coming down in a straight gray sheet, the kind of rain that soaks through wool in minutes and does not stop until it has soaked everything. The well is out there. The bucket is out there. The rope is out there. You step into the rain. The yard is empty. The rain has driven everyone inside. Even the crow is gone. You walk to the well. The mud pulls at your shoes. Each step is heavier than the last. The rope is wet. The splinter is still there, but the wet rope slides differently in your palm. You lower the bucket. The bucket hits the water. You pull. Hand over hand. The rain runs down your face, into your eyes, into your mouth. You cannot wipe it away because your hands are holding the rope. You pull. The bucket comes up. You carry it to the kitchen. The rain runs off the bucket in streams. You pour the water into the great pot. You go back to the well. Hand over hand. Hand over hand. The rain does not stop. You do not stop. By the time the pot is full, you are wet through. Your tunic is stuck to your shoulders and your chest and your thighs. Your shoes are full of water. You stand by the fire and let the heat hit you. The heat makes steam rise from your clothes. The cook looks at you. She does not say anything. You stand by the fire until you are less wet, not dry, just less wet. Then you go back to the well. The morning meal is the same. Dark bread. Gray porridge. The porridge is thinner today because the rain has made the cook stingy with the barley. You eat it anyway. You stand against the pillar and watch the rain through the open door. The rain has no beginning and no end. It just falls. You have seen rain like this before. You will see it again. The rain is like the work. It comes. It goes. Comes again. You do not fight it. You just stand in it or out of it and you wait for it to stop. It will stop. It always stops. And then it will start again. The cook sends you to the still room. The rain has found its way through the roof in the pantry, and the dried herbs are in danger. You go to the pantry. The floor is wet. A thin stream of water is running down the far wall, dripping from a crack between the stones. You move the clay pots away from the wet wall. The pots are heavy. You carry them one by one to the dry side of the pantry. The pots are labeled with painted letters you cannot read. You do not need to read them. You just move them. The rain drips. The floor gets wetter. You move faster. Not because you are rushing, because the water does not wait, and the herbs will spoil if the water reaches them, and the cook will blame you even though the roof is not your fault. The roof belongs to the steward. The steward belongs to the Lord. The blame belongs to you. That is how it works. You move the last pot. The rain is still dripping. You look up at the crack in the stones. There is nothing you can do about the crack. You are not a mason. You are not a roofer. You are the person who carries things. You carry a bucket from the kitchen and set it under the drip. The drip hits the bottom of the bucket with a sound like a finger tapping would. Tap, tap, tap. You stand in the pantry and listen to the tap. Tap, tap, tap. The sound is steady. The sound is small. The sound will continue all day and all night and into tomorrow unless someone fixes the roof. No one will fix the roof. The roof will drip. The bucket will fill. Someone will empty the bucket. That someone will be you. You go back to the kitchen. The rain is still falling. The yard is a soup of mud and water and straw and things you do not want to step in. You step in them anyway. Your shoes are already wet. Wet shoes do not care about mud. You go to the hen yard. The hens are huddled under the coop, their feathers puffed out against the wet. They look smaller than usual. You scatter the grain. The hens do not come out. They stay under the coop, watching you with their small bright eyes. You leave the grain on the ground. The rain will wash it away or the hens will eat it. Either way, it is not your problem. You have done your part. You go back to the kitchen. The cook has a new task. The Lord wants a fire in his chamber. Not the great hall. Not the kitchen. His private chamber, upstairs, where the lady sleeps. The fire in his chamber went out in the night, and now the Lord is cold, and the Lord does not like to be cold. You carry a basket of kindling and a covered pot of coals from the kitchen hearth. The pot is hot. You hold it with 2 rags, 1 in each hand, and you climb the spiral stair. The rain has made the stairs wet. Water is running down the walls in thin streaks. The steps are slick. You climb slowly. 1 step. The pot shifts. You adjust your grip. Another step. The kindling basket bumps against your leg. Another step. The corridor at the top is dark. The torch has gone out. You walk by feel, your feet finding the floor, your hands holding the hot pot. The Lord's door is closed. You knock with your elbow. The Lord's servant opens the door. He takes the pot and the basket. He closes the door. You stand in the dark corridor. The rain is loud here, drumming on the roof above your head. You turn and go back down the stairs. The day is long. The rain does not stop. You carry wood. You carry water. You scrub the pantry floor where the water from the roof has made mud. You scrub the kitchen floor where the servants have tracked mud from the yard. You scrub the same spot 3 times because the mud keeps coming back. The rain is the reason for the mud, and the rain will not stop, so the mud will not stop. You scrub anyway. Scrubbing is the work. The work does not care about the rain. In the afternoon, you help the cook make cheese. The milk came from the goats this morning, before the rain started. It is souring already because the day is warm and damp and the pantry is not cold enough. The cook pours the milk into a pot and sets it by the fire. You stir it with a wooden paddle while the cook adds rennet. The milk thickens. It separates into curds and whey. You watch the curds form, soft white lumps floating in pale green liquid. The cook takes a cloth and lines a wooden basket with it. You ladle the curds into the basket. The whey runs out through the cloth and drips into a bowl below. The curds settle. You press them down with your hands. The cook folds the cloth over the top and sets a stone on it to press the cheese. The cheese will sit here for a day, maybe two, and then it will be ready. The Lord will eat it. You will not. You will eat the whey mixed with a little bread, because the cook does not like to waste anything. The whey is thin and sour. You drink it from a clay cup. It is not good, but it is food, and food is food, and you are hungry. The rain stops in the late afternoon. You do not notice at first. The sound of the rain has been there so long that the silence when it stops is like a sound of its own. You are in the yard, carrying a basket of turnips from the root cellar, and suddenly there is no rain on your face. You stop walking. You look up. The sky is gray, the same gray as before, but there is a lighter patch in the west, a place where the clouds are thinner. The light from that patch falls across the yard in a pale yellow stripe. The mud looks almost golden. You stand there for a moment holding the basket, looking at the light. Then you walk to the kitchen. The cook takes the basket. She does not look at the light. She looks at the turnips. You go back to the root cellar. The night comes. The torches are lit. The rain is gone, but the wetness remains. The yard is a mess of mud and puddles. The walls are dark with moisture. The air is damp and cold in a way that feels deeper than the cold before the rain. You carry the Lord's Supper to the great hall. The hall is damp too. The rushes are wet from the damp air. The fire in the great hearth is large, trying to push the wetness back. But the wetness is everywhere. You set the tray on the sideboard. You stand against the wall. The guests are gone. The Lord eats alone tonight or with his family, you cannot tell from where you stand. The fire crackles. The smoke rises. You watch the smoke. The meal ends. You carry the dishes back to the kitchen. The scraps go into the bowl. The bones go to the dogs. The bread goes to the servants. You take a piece of bread. It is dark bread, not white, but it is fresh, baked this morning before the rain. You eat it standing by the sink. The bread is good. You eat it slowly. You lick the crumbs from your palm. The kitchen quiets. The cook sits on her stool. The boy is not here tonight. He is somewhere else, or he is sick, or he is gone. You do not know. The woman with the needle is back. She is mending a tear in her shoe. You sit against the pillar. The fire is low. You add wood. The wood is damp from the rain. It hisses and smokes before it catches. The fire does not like damp wood. But the fire takes it anyway. The fire has no choice. The fire takes what it is given. You close your eyes. The night is around you. The night is damp and cold and dark. The wetness from the day is in your clothes, in your shoes, in your hair. You are not dry. You will not be dry until the sun comes out, and the sun may not come out for days. That is fine. You have been wet before. You will be wet again. The wetness is just another layer, like the cold, like the ache, like the weight of the bucket. You sit against the pillar and let the night hold you. The night holds you the way the well holds the water. The way the straw holds the shape of your body. The way the fire holds the red core under the ash. Even when the wood is damp and the smoke is thick and the flames struggle to catch. The fire holds on. You hold on. The night goes on. The night always goes on. And somewhere in the chamber above, the Lord is warm now, his fire burning, his cheese pressing, his bread stored in a dry chest. And you are here by the pillar with the damp and the dark and the small red heart of the coals beating slow, beating steady, beating the same way it has beaten for years, the same way it will beat for years after you are gone, and someone else is sitting in this place with wet shoes and raw hands and a back that will not stop aching. The rain is gone. The damp remains. The night is not over. The night is never over. The day breaks pale and still. No rain. No sun either. Just a flat white sky that could be morning or noon or late afternoon. The light does not change. It stays the same from the moment you open your eyes until the moment the torches are lit. And even then the torches seem dimmer than usual, as if the gray has soaked into the flames. You wake in the straw. The boy is there. The woman is there. The cook is standing by the fire. The bread is on the table. The water is in the bucket. You pull on your tunic. You lace your shoes. You take the bread. You chew. You swallow. The bread tastes of nothing. The day tastes of nothing. You go to the well. The rope is dry today. The splinter finds your palm. You lower the bucket. You pull. Hand over hand. The bucket comes up. You carry it to the kitchen. You pour. You go back to the well. The yard is quiet. Too quiet. The crow is on the wall, but the crow is not moving. The crow is just sitting there, its head turned to one side, watching you. You watch the crow. The crow does not move. You go back to the well. The cook sends you to the smithy. The kitchen needs a new hook for the pot crane. The old hook cracked yesterday, and the cook had to hold the pot with both hands while the boy ladled out the porridge. That cannot happen again. You walk across the yard to the smithy. The smithy is a low building with a roof that is black from smoke. The forge is burning. The smith is a large man with arms that look like they were carved from oak. He does not look up when you come in. He is hammering a piece of red-hot iron on an anvil. The hammer falls. The iron sparks. The sound is loud and sharp, and it hits you in the chest like a fist. You stand by the door and wait. The smith hammers. The iron cools. The smith puts it back in the forge. He pumps the bellows. The fire glows brighter. The iron heats. The smith takes it out. He hammers. The sound is loud. You wait. The smith looks up. He knows why you are here. Everyone knows why everyone is here. The cook needs a hook. The smith makes hooks. You do not speak. The smith does not speak. He picks up a piece of iron from a pile on the floor. It is already shaped, already bent into a curve at one end. He heats it. He hammers it. He quenches it in a bucket of water. The water hisses. Steam rises. He hands you the hook. The hook is still warm. You take it. You carry it back to the kitchen. The cook takes the hook. She looks at it. She hangs it on the pot crane. The crane holds. The cook nods. You go back to the yard. The morning is the same as the morning. The light does not change. You stand in the yard and look at the sky. The sky is the color of a stone. A flat gray stone with no cracks and no edges. You have never seen a sky like this before. Or maybe you have. Maybe you have seen it many times and you just do not remember. The days blur together. The sky blurs together. The gray is the same as the gray. You turn away from the sky and go to the hen yard. The hens are the same. The mud is drier now. The grain is the same. You scatter it. The hens peck. You collect the eggs. 2 today. 2 small eggs with thin shells. You carry them to the kitchen. The cook takes them. She cracks one into a bowl. The yolk is pale yellow, almost white. She beats it with a fork made of wood. She adds water. She beats it again. She pours the mixture into a cloth and hangs the cloth over a bowl. The water will drip through. The yolk will stay in the cloth. That is not your work. Your work is the well. You go back to the well. The midday meal is pottage and bread. The pottage has turnips and the last of the beans and a piece of salt pork that is mostly fat. You eat it standing by the pillar. The fat is chewy and salty. You chew it for a long time. The boy is sitting on the floor with his bowl. His thumb is wrapped in a rag. The rag is clean. That is good. You do not say anything. He does not say anything. The cook is sitting on her stool. She is eating from the same pot. The cook eats the same food as the servants. That is the only thing that is the same. Everything else is different. The cook sleeps in a room of her own. The cook has a blanket that is not shared. The cook has shoes that do not leak. The cook has a voice that people listen to. You have none of those things. But you eat the same pottage. That is something. It is not much, but it is something. The afternoon is for grinding. Not mustard. Grain. The hand mill is in the corner of the pantry. A small stone wheel that turns on top of a larger stone. You pour a handful of dried wheat into the hole in the top. You turn the wheel. The wheel grinds the wheat into flour. The flour falls out between the stones and collects in a wooden trough below. You turn the wheel. Round and round. The sound is a low grinding sound. Stone on stone. Slower than the pestle, heavier. Your arm moves in a circle. Your shoulder moves in a circle. Your whole body moves in a circle, round and round. You pour more wheat. You turn the wheel. The flour builds up in the trough. You sweep it into a bowl with your hand. You pour more wheat. You turn the wheel. The light through the pantry window does not change. The gray stays gray. You turn the wheel. You grind for a long time. Long enough that your arm stops feeling like your arm. Long enough that the sound of the stones becomes the only sound in the world. Long enough that you forget where you are. You are not in the pantry. You are not in the castle. You are just a circle moving around another circle, and the wheat is just something that passes through, and the flour is just something that collects in the trough. Round and round. You pour. You turn. The bowl fills. You carry the bowl to the kitchen. The cook takes the flour. She mixes it with water and salt and a spoonful of the sourdough starter that lives in a clay pot behind the fire. She kneads it on the table. The dough is sticky at first. Then it becomes smooth. Then it becomes a ball. She sets it in a bowl and covers it with a cloth. The dough will rise. You will bake it tomorrow. That is the work. The work never ends. The work just changes shape, like the dough, like the flour, like the wheat before it was ground. The work is a circle. You are in the circle. Round and round. The night comes. The torches are lit. The gray sky turns black. You cannot tell the difference. The gray was already almost black. The torches make the yard look smaller, as if the dark is pressing in from all sides. You carry the Lord's Supper to the great hall. The hall is empty except for the Lord and his family. The Lord's wife is wearing a blue dress. The Lord's daughter is sitting beside her. The Lord's son is not there. He is somewhere else, or he is sick, or he is dead. You do not know. You set the tray on the sideboard. You stand against the wall. The Lord's servant takes the dishes. The Lord eats. The lady eats. The daughter eats. You watch the fire. The fire is large and hot. The smoke rises. The smoke finds the louvers and escapes into the black sky. You watch the smoke until it is gone. Then you watch more smoke. The meal ends. You carry the dishes back to the kitchen. The scraps go into the bowl. The bones go to the dogs. The bread goes to the servants. There is no white bread tonight. Only dark bread, the same as the morning. You take a piece. You eat it standing by the sink. The bread is hard. You dip it in the pottage bowl to soften it. The pottage is cold now, but the bread soaks it up and becomes soft. You eat it. The bread tastes of the pottage. The pottage tastes of the bread. You lick your fingers. You wipe your hands on your tunic. The kitchen quiets. The cook sits on her stool. The boy is asleep on the floor. The woman with the needle is asleep against the wall, the needle still in her hand. You sit against the pillar. The fire is low. You add wood. The wood is dry today. The fire catches quickly. The flames are blue at the base and yellow at the top. You watch the flames. The flames move. They lean to one side, then the other. They reach for the wood. They pull back. They reach again. The fire is not alive, but it moves like something alive. It breathes like something alive. It eats like something alive. You feed it. It lives. You feed it again. It lives another day. That is the deal. You give the fire wood. The fire gives you heat. The heat keeps you from freezing. That is the only deal you have. You close your eyes. The night is around you. The night is the same as the day, only darker. The gray sky is black now. The gray stones are black now. The gray fire is orange and red and yellow. The colors do not matter. The colors are just the fire talking to itself. You do not listen. You just sit against the pillar and let the night hold you. The night holds you the way the well holds the water. The way the straw holds the shape of your body. The way the fire holds the red core under the ash. Even when the flames are low and the wood is gone and the heat is just a memory, the fire holds on. You hold on. The night goes on. The night always goes on. And somewhere in the chamber above, the Lord is sleeping, and the lady is sleeping, and the daughter is sleeping, and the Lord's son is somewhere else, or he is sick, or he is dead. You do not know. You do not need to know. You are here by the pillar with the fire and the dark and the small red heart of the coals beating slow, beating steady, beating the same way it has beaten for years, the same way it will beat for years after you are gone and someone else is sitting in this place with wet shoes and raw hands and a back that will not stop aching. The night is not over. The night is never over. The night is just a pause between one morning and the next. The pause stretches out. You let it stretch. You let it stretch until there is nothing left but the dark and the heat and the small red heart of the fire, beating slow, beating steady, beating the same way it has beaten since before you were born. The same way it will beat long after you have turned to dust and the straw has been burned and the stones have fallen and the well has been filled with earth. The fire beats. You breathe. The night holds you. You let it. The morning comes with frost. You know it before you open your eyes. The air is different, sharper, thinner. It sits in your nose like tiny needles. The straw under you is stiff, the frost from your breath having settled on the stalks during the night. Your tunic is cold against your skin. You sit up. The boy is already awake, his breath coming in small white clouds. The woman with the needle is rubbing her hands together, trying to bring warmth back into her fingers. The cook is standing by the fire, but the fire is low, the coals hidden under a thick layer of white ash. The night has been cold, the coldest night so far. You do not know what month it is. You do not need to know. The frost tells you everything you need to know. The frost says, the ground is hard. The frost says, the well will be slow. The frost says, the winter is here, and the winter does not care if you are ready. You pull on your tunic. The linen is stiff with cold. You lace your shoes. The leather is hard. You walk to the fire and kneel. The coals are still there, buried deep. You blow on them. A small glow appears. You add the smallest pieces of kindling, the thinnest twigs, the driest bits of bark. You blow again. The kindling catches. A flame appears. It is small and weak, but it is there. You add more wood. The fire grows. The heat reaches your face. You stay on your knees for a long time, letting the warmth soak into your skin. The cook does not tell you to move. The cook is standing by the fire too, her hands held out to the flames. The boy is standing behind you. The woman is standing behind him. Everyone is waiting for the fire to grow. The fire is the only thing that matters right now. The bread can wait. The water can wait. The fire comes first. When the fire is large enough, you go to the well. The yard is white with frost. Your shoes leave dark prints on the grass. The well is rimmed with ice. The rope is stiff. The splinter is still there, but the rope does not slide the way it usually does. Creaks as you lower the bucket. The bucket hits the water. You pull, hand over hand. The rope creaks. The bucket comes up. There is ice on the rim of the bucket, a thin skin that cracks when you set the bucket down. You carry it to the kitchen. The water sloshes over the side and freezes on your hand. You pour. You go back to the well, hand over hand. The rope creaks. The bucket comes up. The ice cracks. You pour. You go back. The morning is the same as the morning, only colder. The cold is not a problem. The cold is just a fact. The fact is, you are cold. The fact is, you will be cold all day. The fact is, the cold will not kill you. It will just make everything slower. Everything is already slow. The cold makes it slower. That is fine. Slow is fine. Slow is safe. Slow is the only way to survive. The morning meal is the same. Dark bread. Gray porridge. The porridge is hot. You hold the bowl in both hands and let the heat warm your fingers. The steam rises and fogs your face. You eat slowly. The porridge is thick today, made with more barley because the cook is trying to use up the stores before they freeze. You eat until the bowl is empty. You lick the bowl. You set it down. The boy is eating his porridge with his fingers, the same as you. His thumb is better. The rag is gone. The cut has closed. You notice this without meaning to. You do not care about the boy's thumb, but you notice it. That is what the cold does. It makes you notice small things. The way the frost looks on the grass. The way the ice cracks on the bucket. The way the boy's thumb is healing. Small things. Useless things. But you notice them anyway. The cook sends you to the wood stack. The fire needs wood. The wood stack is against the outer wall, covered with a leaky roof of old boards. The wood is damp from the frost. You pick up the pieces one by one, testing their weight. The damp wood is heavier. You fill the sling. The sling cuts into your shoulder. You carry the wood to the kitchen. You stack it by the fire. You go back to the wood stack. You fill the sling. You carry. You stack. You go back. The frost does not care that you are working. The frost stays on the wood. The frost stays on the ground. The frost stays on your shoes. Your shoes are wet again. The wetness freezes. Your shoes are stiff. Your toes are cold. You do not think about your toes. Thinking about your toes makes them colder. You think about the wood. The wood is heavy. The wood is damp. The wood will burn. The fire will eat the wood. The fire will make heat. The heat will warm your toes. That is the circle. Wood to fire. Fire to heat. Heat to toes. Toes to wood stack to fire. Round and round. The sun comes up somewhere behind the frost. You do not see the sun. You see the light change on the stones, from gray to a pale silver that hurts your eyes. The frost glitters. The yard looks like it is covered in tiny broken glass. You walk across the yard to the hen yard. The hens are huddled together in the coop, their feathers fluffed out. They do not come out when you scatter the grain. They stay in the coop watching you. You leave the grain on the ground. The frost will cover it. The hens will eat it anyway. They are cold too. The cold does not care about the hens. The cold does not care about anyone. The cold just is. You collect the eggs. There are none. The hens are not laying. The cold has stopped them. You carry the empty bowl back to the kitchen. The cook looks at the bowl. She does not say anything. She knows. The hens stop laying when the frost comes. They will start again when the frost leaves. That is how it works. The cook does not blame you. The cook blames the frost. The frost does not care. The day is cold. The cold is in everything. The stones are cold. The water is cold. The bread is cold. The fire is hot, but the fire is small, and the kitchen is large, and the cold presses in from all sides. You stand as close to the fire as you can without burning your clothes. The cook stands next to you. The boy stands behind you. The woman stands behind him. Everyone is close to the fire. No one speaks. The fire crackles. The frost creeps. The day goes on. The steward comes into the kitchen. He wants the rushes changed in the Lord's chamber. Not the great hall. The Lord's private chamber. The rushes there are old and damp, and the Lord does not like the smell. You go to the Lord's chamber with a basket and a broom. The chamber is smaller than the great hall, warmer too, because the Lord has his own fire. The fire is burning. The room is hot. The heat hits you like a wall. You stand in the doorway for a moment, letting the heat wash over you. The Lord's servant is there. He points to the rushes on the floor. You kneel and gather them into the basket. The rushes are dry and dusty. They smell of old smoke and lavender and something else. Something sweet that you cannot name. You sweep the floor. You carry the basket down the stairs. You bring up fresh rushes from the storage room. You spread them on the floor with your hands. The rushes are pale and dry, and they crackle under your knees. You stand up. The Lord's servant nods. You go back down the stairs. The cold hits you again. The cold is a shock after the heat of the chamber. Your skin remembers the heat. Your skin wants the heat. Your skin cannot have the heat. The heat is for the Lord. The cold is for you. That is how it works. The midday meal is the same. Pottage. Bread. The pottage has no meat today. Only turnips and beans and a handful of dried peas that are hard even after boiling. You eat it standing by the fire. The heat from the fire warms your face. The cold from the yard cools your back. You turn around. Now your back is warm and your face is cold. You turn again. Face warm. Back cold. You turn again. Back warm. Face cold. You eat. You turn. You eat. You turn. The boy watches you. He does not say anything. He turns too. Now both of you are turning, eating, turning. The cook watches. She does not say anything. She turns too. The three of you stand by the fire, turning slowly, eating your pottage, warming one side and then the other. The woman with the needle does not turn. She is sitting on the floor with her back against the wall, her face in shadow. She is cold. She does not care. She eats her pottage without moving. You turn. She does not. That is fine. Everyone is different. Everyone is the same. The afternoon is for mending, not clothes. Nets. The fishing nets are stored in the basement, a dark damp space under the kitchen. The nets are made of hemp, and the hemp rots in the damp, and the nets need to be mended before the spring, when the fish come back and the Lord wants fresh fish every day. You go down the stone steps into the basement. The basement is cold and dark and smells of earth and old water. A single oil lamp burns on a hook near the stairs. The light is small and yellow. You sit on a wooden stool and take the first net from the pile. The net is a tangle of ropes and knots and holes. You find the holes. You thread a needle made of bone with a piece of hemp twine. You mend the holes. The work is slow. The knots are small. The hemp is rough. Your fingers are cold. You mend. The lamp flickers. You mend. The basement is quiet. The only sounds are the scratch of the needle and the drip of water somewhere in the dark and your own breath, slow and steady, moving in and out of your chest. You mend. The holes close. The net becomes whole. You set it aside. You take the next net. You find the holes. You thread the needle. You mend. The lamp flickers. You mend. You mend for a long time. Long enough that the lamp burns low and the shadows grow large and the cold seeps into your bones. You do not know how long. Time in the basement is not the same as time in the yard. The basement has no light and no dark. The basement is just the basement. You mend until the pile of mended nets is larger than the pile of unmended nets. Then you stop. You set the needle in the hem of your tunic. You stand up. Your legs are stiff. You climb the stone steps. The kitchen is bright. The fire is bright. The light hurts your eyes. You stand in the doorway and blink. The cook looks at you. She does not say anything. You go to the fire and stand with your hands held out to the flames. The heat feels good. The heat feels like something you have been missing for a long time. You stand there. The heat soaks into your hands, your face, your chest. The cold in your bones does not leave. The cold in your bones is old. The cold in your bones has been there since the first frost. The cold in your bones will be there until the spring. The heat from the fire cannot reach that deep. You stand anyway. The heat is better than nothing. Nothing is not enough. The heat is not enough either. But it is something. You take what you can get. The night comes. The torches are lit. The frost is still on the ground. The sky is clear for the first time in days. The stars are out, thousands of them, small and white and cold. You look up at the stars. You do not know their names. No one has told you their names. The stars are just points of light in the black sky. They do not move. They just hang there watching. You watch them. The stars watch you. You look away. The stars do not care if you look away. The stars will still be there tomorrow. The stars will still be there when you are gone. You walk to the kitchen. The fire is low. You add wood. The fire catches. The flames reach for the wood. You watch the flames. The flames are warmer than the stars. The flames are closer. The flames are here, in the kitchen, with you. The stars are far away. The stars are not for you. The flames are for you. The flames are yours to feed. You feed them. They live. You live. That is the deal. You sit against the pillar. The night is around you. The night is cold and dark and full of stars. The frost is on the ground. The frost is on the roof. The frost is on the well. The frost is everywhere. The frost is in your shoes. The frost is in your tunic. The frost is in your hair. You do not try to fight the frost. Fighting the frost is like fighting the rain. The frost will win. The frost always wins. But the fire is here. The fire is warm. The fire is small and red, and it beats like a heart under the ash. You close your eyes. The night holds you. The night holds you the way the well holds the water. The way the straw holds the shape of your body. The way the fire holds the red core under the ash. Even when the frost is thick and the wood is damp and the flames are low. The fire holds on. You hold on. The night goes on. The night always goes on. And somewhere in the chamber above, the Lord is warm, his fire burning, his rushes fresh, his nets mended for the spring. And you are here, by the pillar, with the frost and the dark and the small red heart of the coals beating slow, beating steady, beating the same way it has beaten for years, the same way it will beat for years after you are gone and someone else is sitting in this place with cold hands and wet shoes and a back that will not stop aching. The night is not over. The night is never over. The night is just a pause between one frost and the next. The pause stretches out. You let it stretch. You let it stretch until there is nothing left but the dark and the cold and the small red heart of the fire, beating slow, beating steady, beating the same way it has beaten since before the first frost. The same way it will beat long after the last frost has melted and the hens are laying again and the well is full of spring rain. The fire beats. You breathe. The night holds you. You let it. The frost holds. Day after day the frost holds. You stop counting the days because the days are the same. The same cold. The same gray sky. The same white ground in the morning. The same dark ground by midday where the sun has touched it. And the same frost again by nightfall. The frost is not a visitor. The frost has moved in. The frost lives here now, in the stones and the straw and the wool of your tunic. You wake with frost on your blanket. You eat with frost on your bread. You work with frost on your hands. The frost is not your enemy. The frost is just the weather. The weather does not hate you. The weather does not love you. The weather just is. You go to the well. The rope is stiff. The bucket is rimmed with ice. You lower the bucket. The rope creaks. You pull. Hand over hand. The bucket comes up. The water is cold. Colder than before. The cold has sunk into the well, deep down where the sun never reaches. The water tastes different now. Sharper. Cleaner. You carry it to the kitchen. You pour. You go back to the well. The frost crunches under your shoes. The sound is small and dry. You like the sound. The sound tells you that the frost is still there. The frost is not gone. The frost is holding. You are holding too. The cook sends you to the storage loft. The grain is running low. The steward wants to know how much is left. You climb the ladder. The loft is cold and dark. The sacks are stacked against the wall, the same sacks you carried weeks ago or months ago you do not remember. You count them. There are 12. 12 sacks of grain. 12 sacks of barley and rye and a few of wheat for the Lord's bread. 12 sacks to feed the household through the winter. The winter is long. The winter is not over. 12 sacks are not enough. You do not say this to anyone, saying it does not change the number. The number is 12. The number will be 12 tomorrow and the day after and the day after that, until the sacks are empty and the cook starts stretching the porridge with boiled nettles and the bread becomes more chaff than flour. You climb down the ladder. You tell the steward. 12. The steward nods. The steward already knew. The steward counts the sacks himself every week. The steward does not need you to count. The steward needs someone to blame when the food runs out. That someone will be you. That is how it works. The morning meal is thinner today. The cook has cut the barley. The porridge is mostly water. You eat it anyway. The water is warm. The water fills your stomach. The water does not fill the hunger. The hunger is always there. The hunger is like the cold. It lives in you. It does not leave. You have learned to live with it. You have learned to ignore it. You have learned to push it down into the same place where you push the ache in your back and the cold in your feet. The hunger is just another layer. You are made of layers. Tunic and blanket and straw and stone and hunger and cold and the small red heart of the fire. Layer after layer. You are not one thing. You are many things stacked together. The hunger is one of them. You carry it with you the way you carry the bucket. Hand over hand. The boy is coughing. You notice it because the cough is new. The cough is dry and deep, coming from somewhere in his chest. He coughs while he cuts the bread. He coughs while he eats his porridge. He coughs while he stands by the fire. The cook looks at him. The cook does not say anything. The cook knows. The cough is the winter cough. The winter cough comes every year. Takes some people. It does not take others. The boy is small. The boy is young. The boy has a cut on his thumb that healed. But the cough is not a cut. The cough is inside. You cannot see the cough. You can only hear it. You hear it all day. The boy coughs. You turn away. You cannot help the boy. You are not a healer. You are not a nurse. You are the person who carries things. You carry water. You carry wood. You carry turnips. You cannot carry the boy's cough. The boy's cough is his to carry. He carries it the way you carry the bucket. Hand over hand. The bucket is heavy. The cough is heavy. Everyone is heavy. The cook sends you to the smithy again. The plow needs a new blade. The frost has made the ground hard. And the old blade broke yesterday when the plowman tried to turn the soil in the lower field. The plowman is not your concern. The blade is your concern. You carry the old blade to the smithy. The blade is broken in 2 places, the iron cracked like old wood. The smith takes the blade. He looks at it. He throws it on the scrap pile. He picks up a new blade from the stack against the wall. The new blade is dark and heavy and sharp along one edge. You carry it to the plowman. The plowman is standing in the lower field, his hands on his hips, looking at the ground. The ground is white with frost. The frost is hard. The frost will not break. The plowman knows this. You know this. Everyone knows this. But the Lord wants the field turned, and the plowman will try, and the blade will break again, and you will carry another blade from the smithy, and the frost will still be there, and the field will still be hard, and the Lord will still want it turned. That is the work. The work is not about success. The work is about trying. Trying and failing and trying again. Round and round. You stand in the lower field and watch the plowman fit the new blade to the plow. The plow is made of wood and iron, old and worn, held together with leather straps and iron nails. The plowman pulls the straps tight. He tests the blade with his thumb. He nods. He calls to the ox. The ox is a large animal with a coat of thick brown hair and breath that steams in the cold air. The ox does not want to plow. The ox wants to stand in the field and eat the frost. The plowman shouts. The ox does not move. The plowman shouts again. The ox takes 1 step. The plowman shouts again. The ox takes another step. The blade cuts into the frost. The frost does not break. The blade skids across the surface. The plowman shouts. The ox pulls. The blade digs in. The frost cracks. A thin line of dark soil appears behind the blade. The plowman shouts. The ox pulls. The blade cuts. The frost cracks. The dark soil appears. You watch. The plowman works. The ox pulls. The blade cuts. The frost cracks. The dark soil appears. You watch until the plowman has crossed the field and turned the ox around and started back. Then you go to the kitchen. The cook has no task for you. You stand by the fire. The boy coughs. The fire crackles. The frost holds. The midday meal is the same. Thin porridge. Dark bread. The bread is harder today. The cook has cut the flour with more chaff. The bread crumbles when you bite it. You eat the crumbs from your palm. The boy coughs. He does not eat his bread. He holds it in his hand and stares at the fire. The cook looks at him. The cook takes the bread from his hand and eats it. The boy does not notice. The boy is somewhere else. You do not know where. You do not ask. The afternoon is for threshing again. The beans are gone. The grain is too low to thresh. You thresh dried peas instead. The peas are old and hard and they rattle when you hit them with the flail. The sound is different from the beans. Higher, faster, like small stones hitting a wooden floor. You stand in the threshing barn with the other servants. The barn is cold. The frost has found its way through the cracks in the walls. Your breath steams. The flails rise and fall. The peas crack open. The peas scatter. You lift. You swing. The sound fills the barn. Thwack, thwack, thwack. The sound is steady. The sound is the same. The sound is the work. You lose yourself in the sound. The sound becomes the world. The world is thwack, thwack, thwack. You lift. You swing. The peas crack. The day passes. You do not feel it pass. You only feel the flail in your hands and the thwack in your ears and the ache in your back. Thwack, thwack, thwack. The night comes. The torches are lit. The frost glitters in the torchlight. The yard looks like a field of stars, but the stars are on the ground, not in the sky. The sky is black. The stars are hidden. Only the frost glitters. You carry the Lord's Supper to the great hall. The hall is cold tonight. The fire is large, but the hall is larger, and the cold presses in from the walls and the windows and the high roof. The Lord is wearing a fur cloak over his shoulders. The lady is wrapped in a wool blanket. The daughter is sitting close to the fire. You set the tray on the sideboard. You stand against the wall. The Lord's servant takes the dishes. The Lord eats. The lady eats. The daughter eats. You watch the fire. The fire is large, but the fire is losing. You can see it in the way the flames lean and shiver. The cold is winning. The cold is always winning. The fire fights. The fire loses. The fire fights again. The fire loses again. That is the work of the fire. The work of the fire is not to win. The work of the fire is to fight. The meal ends. You carry the dishes back to the kitchen. The scraps go into the bowl. The bones go to the dogs. The bread goes to the servants. There is no white bread tonight. There is barely any bread at all. The cook gives each servant a small piece of dark bread, no larger than your palm. You eat it standing by the sink. The bread is hard and dry. You dip it in the pottage bowl. The pottage is cold. The bread soaks up the cold pottage and becomes soft. You eat it. The bread tastes of nothing. The pottage tastes of nothing. Nothing tastes of nothing. You lick your fingers. You wipe your hands on your tunic. The kitchen quiets. The cook sits on her stool. The woman with the needle is mending a tear in the cook's apron. The boy is lying on the floor, his head on a sack of flour. He is not coughing now. He is sleeping or he is not sleeping, you cannot tell. His chest moves. That is enough. You sit against the pillar. The fire is low. You add wood. The wood is damp. The fire hisses. The flames struggle. You add more wood. The fire catches. The flames grow. The fire fights. The fire wins this time. The fire will lose later. That is fine. Winning and losing are the same. The fire burns. That is all. You close your eyes. The night is around you. The night is cold and dark and full of frost. The frost is on the roof. The frost is on the well. The frost is on the ground. The frost is in your bones. You do not fight the frost. Fighting the frost is like fighting the fire. The frost will win. The frost always wins. But the fire is here. The fire is warm. The fire is small and red and it beats like a heart under the ash. You sit against the pillar and let the night hold you. The night holds you the way the well holds the water. The way the straw holds the shape of your body. The way the fire holds the red core under the ash. Even when the frost is thick and the wood is damp and the flames are low. The fire holds on. You hold on. The night goes on. The night always goes on. And somewhere in the chamber above, the Lord is warm in his fur cloak, and the lady is wrapped in her blanket, and the daughter is asleep by the fire. And you are here by the pillar with the frost and the dark and the small red heart of the coals beating slow, beating steady, beating the same way it has beaten for years, the same way it will beat for years after you are gone and someone else is sitting in this place with cold hands and wet shoes and a back that will not stop aching. The night is not over. The night is never over. The night is just a pause between one frost and the next. The pause stretches out. You let it stretch. You let it stretch until there is nothing left but the dark and the cold and the small red heart of the fire, beating slow, beating steady, beating the same way it has beaten since before the first frost. The same way it will beat long after the last frost has melted and the hens are laying again and the well is full of spring rain. The fire beats. You breathe. The night holds you. You let it. The frost loosens. Not gone. Just loosened. The ground in the yard is no longer white all day. In the afternoon, the frost melts into a thin layer of mud. And by evening the mud freezes again. And by morning the yard is a patchwork of white and brown and gray. The well is slower. The ice on the rim cracks earlier. The water comes up with small chips of ice floating in it, and you drink them because the ice is water and water is water and you are thirsty. The days are longer now, or they feel longer. The light through the window stays a little later. The torches are lit a little later. The change is small. You would not notice it if you were not looking for it. But you are looking for it. Everyone is looking for it. The cook looks for it. The woman with the needle looks for it. The steward looks for it. Even the Lord looks for it, though the Lord does not say so. The winter is old. The winter is tired. The winter is losing its grip. The winter does not want to lose. The winter fights. The winter always fights. But the winter is losing. You go to the well. The rope is less stiff. The splinter finds your palm. You lower the bucket. You pull. Hand over hand. The bucket comes up. The water is cold. The ice chips melt on your hands. You carry the bucket to the kitchen. You pour. You go back to the well. The crow is on the wall. The crow is not the same crow. The crow is larger. Or smaller. You cannot tell. The crow watches you. You watch the crow. The crow flies away. You go back to the well. The cook sends you to the hen yard. The hens are laying again. Not many. 1 egg yesterday. 2 eggs today. The eggs are small and the shells are thin, but they are eggs. You carry them to the kitchen. The cook cracks them into the bowl. The yolks are darker now, almost yellow. The cook beats them with the fork. She adds water. She beats them again. She pours the mixture into the cloth. The water drips. The yolk stays. Drip, drip, drip. You watch the water drip. The sound is the same. The sound is always the same. The water drips. You turn away. You go to the storage loft. The grain is low. 12 sacks are now 9. 9 sacks of barley and rye and a few of wheat. 9 sacks to feed the household through the rest of the winter. The rest of the winter is short. The rest of the winter is not short enough. 9 sacks are not enough. You do not say this. You climb down the ladder. You tell the steward. 9. The steward nods. The steward already knew. The steward counts the sacks himself every week. The steward does not need you to count. The steward needs someone to blame when the food runs out. That someone will be you. That is how it works. You go back to the kitchen. The morning meal is the same. Thin porridge. Hard bread. The bread is harder today. The cook has cut the flour with ground peas. The bread tastes like dirt. You eat it anyway. You are hungry. The hunger is always there. The hunger is like the frost. The hunger loosens and tightens. It never leaves. You eat the bread. You drink the water. You stand by the fire. The fire is smaller today. The wood is low. The steward brought more wood yesterday, but the wood is damp, and the damp wood burns slow, and the fire is small. You add wood. The fire hisses. The flames struggle. You add more wood. The fire catches. The flames grow. The fire is warm. You stand closer. The cook stands closer. The woman stands closer. Everyone stands close to the fire. The fire is the only warmth. The fire is the only light. The fire is the only thing that matters. You stand. The fire burns. The morning passes. The cook sends you to the lower field. The plowman is trying again. The frost is looser. The ground is softer. The plowman thinks he can turn the field today. You carry the plow blade from the smithy. The blade is new. The blade is sharp. The blade is heavy. You carry it across the yard, past the stables, through the narrow passage, into the lower field. The plowman is standing by the plow. The ox is standing by the plowman. The ox is chewing. The plowman takes the blade from you. He fits it to the plow. He tests it with his thumb. He nods. He calls to the ox. The ox does not move. The plowman shouts. The ox takes 1 step. The plowman shouts again. The ox takes another step. The blade cuts into the ground. The ground is soft. The blade cuts deep. A dark furrow opens behind the blade. The plowman shouts. The ox pulls. The blade cuts. The furrow opens. The plowman works. The ox pulls. The blade cuts. The furrow opens. You watch. The field is brown and wet, and the frost is gone from the soil. The winter is losing. The spring is coming. You watch the plowman cross the field. You watch him turn the ox. You watch him start back. The furrows are straight and dark, and they smell of earth and cold and something else. Something that is not winter. You do not know the name of that smell. The smell is old. The smell is new. The smell is the ground waking up. You stand in the field and breathe the smell. The plowman works. The ox pulls. The blade cuts. The The furrow opens. You stand. The morning becomes afternoon. The sun comes out from behind the clouds. The sun is pale and low, and it does not warm you, but it is there. You can see it. The sun is there. You have not seen the sun in days, weeks. You do not remember. The sun is there. You look at the sun. The sun looks at you. The sun does not care. The sun is just the sun. But the sun is there. That is something. That is not nothing. You go back to the kitchen. The cook is standing by the fire. The fire is low. You add wood. The fire hisses. The flames struggle. You add more wood. The fire catches. The flames grow. The cook looks at you. She does not say anything. You stand by the fire. The woman with the needle is sitting on the floor. She is not mending. She is just sitting. Her hands are in her lap. Her eyes are open. She is looking at the fire. You look at the fire. The fire is small. The fire is warm. The fire is the only thing. You stand. The fire burns. The afternoon passes. The midday meal is the same. Thin porridge. Hard bread. The bread tastes of dirt. The porridge tastes of water. You eat. You stand. The fire burns. The meal ends. You set the bowl down. You go to the well. The well is the same. The rope is the same. The splinter finds your palm. You lower the bucket. You pull. Hand over hand. The bucket comes up. You carry it to the kitchen. You pour. You go back to the well. The yard is different. The frost is patchy. The mud is wet. The ground is soft. Your shoes sink into the mud. The mud pulls at your shoes. You walk slower. The well is waiting. The well is always waiting. You lower the bucket. You pull. Hand over hand. The bucket comes up. You carry it to the kitchen. You pour. You go back to the well. The crow is on the wall. The crow is watching you. You watch the crow. The crow flies away. You go back to the well. The afternoon is for the bakehouse. The cook wants bread for the Lord's table. Not the dark bread. The white bread. The white bread is made from the wheat flour, the flour that is kept in a separate chest, locked with a key that the steward carries on a leather cord around his neck. The steward is in the bakehouse. He unlocks the chest. He measures out the flour. He locks the chest. He gives you the flour. You mix it with water and salt and a piece of the sourdough starter that the cook keeps behind the fire. The dough is soft and white, and it sticks to your hands. You knead it on the board. You knead it for a long time. The dough becomes smooth. The dough becomes elastic. You shape it into a round loaf. You set it in a basket. You cover it with a cloth. The dough will rise. You will bake it tonight. The Lord will eat it tomorrow. You will not taste it. That is fine. The white bread is not for you. The white bread is for the Lord. You knead the dough. You shape the loaf. You set the basket by the fire. The dough rises. You watch it rise. The dough swells. The dough breathes. The dough is alive. You watch it. The dough rises. You turn away. You go to the well. The night comes. The torches are lit. The sky is clear. The stars are out. The frost is back. The ground is white again. The winter is fighting. The winter is not done. You carry the Lord's Supper to the great hall. The hall is cold. The fire is large. The Lord is wearing his fur cloak. The lady is wearing a wool shawl. The daughter is sitting close to the fire. You set the tray on the sideboard. You stand against the wall. The Lord's servant takes the dishes. The Lord eats. The lady eats. The daughter eats. You watch the fire. The fire is large. The fire is warm. The fire is fighting. The fire is losing. The winter is winning. The winter is old. The winter is tired. The winter is fighting too. Everyone is fighting. The fire fights. The winter fights. The Lord fights. The lady fights. The daughter fights. You fight. Everyone fights. No one wins. Everyone just fights. That is the work. The meal ends. You carry the dishes back to the kitchen. The scraps go into the bowl. The bones go to the dogs. The bread goes to the servants. There is a piece of white bread tonight. The Lord did not eat all of it. The cook gives the piece to the woman with the needle. The woman breaks it in half. She gives half to you. You take the half. The bread is white and soft, and it smells of wheat and the bakehouse and the fire. You eat it standing by the sink. The bread is good. The bread is very good. You eat it slowly. You chew each bite for a long time. The bread tastes of flour and water and the heat of the oven. It tastes like something that was made for someone else. Tastes like something that was not meant for you. But it is in your mouth. You chew. You swallow. The bread is gone. You lick your fingers. You wipe your hands on your tunic. The bread is gone. The taste remains. The taste is in your mouth. The taste is in your memory. The taste is not enough. The taste is something. You take what you can get. The kitchen quiets. The cook sits on her stool. The woman with the needle sits on the floor. The boy is gone. The boy's corner is empty. The straw is gone. The ash is in the yard. The boy is somewhere else. You sit against the pillar. The fire is low. You add wood. The wood is damp. The fire hisses. The flames struggle. You add more wood. The fire catches. The flames grow. The fire is warm. You lean your head back against the pillar. The stone is cold. Your head is warm. The cold and the warm meet. They do not fight. They just meet. They sit together. You sit with them. You close your eyes. The night is around you. The night is cold and dark and full of stars. The frost is on the ground. The frost is on the roof. The frost is on the well. The frost is in your bones. The fire is here. The fire is warm. The fire is small and red, and it beats like a heart under the ash. You sit against the pillar and let the night hold you. The night holds you the way the well holds the water. The way the straw holds the shape of your body. The way the fire holds the red core under the ash. Even when the wood is damp and the frost is thick and the flames are small. The fire holds on. You hold on. The night goes on. The night always goes on. And somewhere in the chamber above, the Lord is warm, and the lady is warm, and the daughter is warm. And the boy is somewhere else. You do not know where. You do not need to know. The boy is not your concern. Your concern is the fire. The fire is here. The fire is burning. The fire is small and red, and it beats slow, beating steady, beating the same way it has beaten for years, the same way it will beat for years after you are gone and someone else is sitting in this place with cold hands and wet shoes and a back that will not stop aching. The night is not over. The night is never over. The night is just a pause between one frost and the next. The pause stretches out. You let it stretch. You let it stretch until there is nothing left but the dark and the cold and the small red heart of the fire, beating slow, beating steady, beating the same way it has beaten since before the winter began. The same way it will beat long after the winter ends and the plowman turns the field and the hens lay their eggs and the well fills with spring rain. The fire beats. You breathe. The night holds you. You let it.